This trip marked my second official visit to China, a positive step towards a strengthened partnership between our two countries that will benefit families on both sides of the Pacific. We've made a lot of progress on a number of issues over the course of this trip, namely with regard to trade, climate change, and people-to-people ties. On the first day of our visit, I met with Premier Li to discuss issues of mutual interest. We agreed to continuing exploratory discussions for a comprehensive trade agreement between Canada and China that will create jobs and new opportunities for middle-class Canadians to succeed. China is already a top destination for Canadian exports, but as I mentioned earlier this week, the economic potential between Canada and China remains largely untapped. The Chinese market will soon be the largest in the world, with over 1 billion potential customers for Canadian goods and services, a skilled workforce, and innovative businesses. Canadians stand to benefit from a strengthened partnership with China. A potential trade agreement would open new markets for businesses to grow and enable investment to flourish on both sides of the Pacific, something I spoke about in greater detail as part of the Fortune Global Conference. On that note, I had the chance to hear directly from Canadian business leaders yesterday who shared their insights and their experiences with me. As we look to increase our partnership, we will be listening to and consulting with the Canadian business community, whose expertise is invaluable. We know that, done right, trade agreements are not only good for businesses, but for people. Increased trade with China has the potential to create good, well-paying jobs for hard-working folks. Jobs that put more money in the pockets of middle-class families so parents can buy winter clothes for their kids and save for retirement. As with all of our partners, our discussions took place against the backdrop of our strong commitment to building an economy that works for everyone and is in line with our values. That's why we will continue to advocate for progressive trade deals that reflect our priorities. Suite aux discussions que nous avons eues cette semaine, c'est clair que nous croyons tous les deux que l'économie et l'environnement doivent aller de pair. À cet égard, nous avons publié une déclaration conjointe plus tôt cette semaine qui décrit la façon dont le Canada et la Chine travailleront ensemble pour lutter contre les changements climatiques. Nous sommes particulièrement bien placés pour agir dans le dossier du climat sur une base bilatérale et par l'intermédiaire d'institutions internationales. La Chine et le Canada peuvent et doivent prendre les devants sur ce front. La déclaration témoigne de notre engagement commun à garantir un avenir plus propre et plus vert à nos enfants et à nos petits-enfants. Something that came out of our discussions this week is our shared understanding that the environment and the economy must go hand in hand. To that effect, we issued a joint statement earlier this week outlining how Canada and China will work together to tackle climate change. We find ourselves uniquely positioned to take action on climate on a bilateral basis and through international institutions. Make no mistake, China and Canada can and must lead the way on this front. The statement is a testament to our shared commitment to a cleaner, greener future for all of our children and grandchildren. Finally, our visit was a prime opportunity to build on our already strong people-to-people ties. Indeed, China and Canada are not only strong partners, but close friends. For decades, Canadians of Chinese descent have enriched our national fabric and made Canada an even better place to call home. China is a popular destination for Canadian students, entrepreneurs, and students. All signs point to closer ties between our people, ties we hope will be made even stronger in 2018 with the official Canada-China Year of Tourism. We hope that families will seize this unprecedented opportunity to discover the culture and natural beauty of our respective countries and experience everything that our communities have to offer. Overall, our second visit has been a productive one, and we are pleased with the progress we've made to strengthen our relationship and deepen our partnership. In addition to matters pertaining to trade, climate, and people-to-people ties, our team has also had the chance to discuss other issues of particular interest, such as education and agricultural exports. As we prepare to head back home, We're optimistic about the future of our relationship and confident that continued partnership will help Canadian businesses and citizens get ahead. Once again, I want to thank our Chinese hosts for their warm welcome. I will now be happy to take your questions.
Good morning, Mr. Prime Minister. There is concern that is growing that Donald Trump's decision on Jerusalem could inflame tensions in the region or much worse. Theresa May has already said she thinks it's a bad decision. What do you think about Donald Trump's decision? And if you do not think it's a good decision, will you raise it with him personally?
Canada has a long-standing policy on the Mideast that we need to work towards a two-state solution through direct negotiations. That's why we will continue to engage constructively and substantively in the region and with partners and friends around the world. But as we've said, we will not be moving Canada's embassy from Tel Aviv. This visit has been the second annual engagement with at the leaders level between Canada and China. We made a commitment in the election in 2015 to improve relations with China in a way that benefited Canadian citizens, Canadian workers, Canadian businesses, small businesses across the country, and that's exactly what we're remaining focused on. We've had a very constructive and positive visit, strengthening the relationship between Canada and China, and we're going to continue to work on that because it's something that matters to Canadians, to Chinese citizens, and to our governments.
Prime Minister, you made a spirited case for your progressive trade agenda just earlier. Your partners do not seem to be quite as enthusiastic as you are. You've got 3 ongoing trade negotiations, NAFTA, TPP, with China. You hope, I guess, for 3 deals. You may end up with no deals. Is this strategy in trouble?
As I said a little earlier, if we take a step back, what we're seeing around the world with the rise of nationalism, a rise of protectionism, is a concern amongst citizens and ordinary folks in countries around the world that pro-growth policies like trade hasn't been good for them, haven't been creating a stronger future, better opportunities for ordinary citizens. And we have to ensure that as we move forward on trade, which does create growth and opportunity, that the growth and opportunities benefit ordinary citizens. That is the challenge and the context in which we find ourselves. And that's why pushing for trade deals that benefit citizens and not just multinationals or a country's bottom line, but the actual citizens, is the only way we are going to continue to move forward constructively and effectively in an increasingly globalized world. The alternative to trade deals that focus on citizens is no trade deals at all, because the rising forces of inward thinking, of fear, of protectionism, of nationalism will prevent the public confidence that is required for governments to move forward with trade deals.
Do you think that China is trying to fill a void in the global trade order that's left by Donald Trump's United States? And if so, do you welcome their leadership, if I can put it that way, in the trade space?
I think we have a rules-based system around trade around the world, led by the WTO, the inheritors of the GATT agreements. We have a world in which there are many players who continue to understand how important trade is. And I think the challenge that we are all facing is, as I've said, demonstrating that trade can be a powerful lever for good in the lives of ordinary citizens. Now, different countries with different contexts and different challenges will look at that in different ways and try to benefit their citizens in different ways. But there is no question that, to use the China example, trade has been an essential element in their success in lifting hundreds of millions of people out of poverty and into the global middle class. The reflections we have to have going forward is how to ensure that as we move forward on trade, investment, we are including people who don't feel like the system has worked for them over the past years. And on that, different countries with different perspectives coming together to support the rules-based system and to look for progress in trade that leads to collaboration and cooperation, but also competition and challenges that bring out opportunities and growth for countries and for citizens is the path we have to take.
Mr. Trudeau, what kind of concerns are Chinese officials raising with you or your ministers about media coverage of China? Is this interfering with the relations right now during trade talks? And do you think the Canadian media is being too negative or one-sided about China?
Allow me to take a moment to thank members of the media. You travel with us around the world to very different places where there are always different challenges to meet, and you do it remaining focused on delivering information and knowledge and understanding to Canadians so that our system works better. You play an essential role, a challenge function, an information function, and it's not easy at the best of times. These are not the best of times with the transitions and the challenges undergoing traditional media right now. And I really appreciate the work that you're doing. It's not easy. We make your job difficult. External factors make your job difficult. But it's an essential role that you play in the success of a society. That is my perspective. It is a perspective shared by many, and it's one that I'm very happy to repeat today.
Prime Minister, thanks for taking our questions. Chris Fournier from Bloomberg News.